So, Afghanistan has fallen to the Taliban, unleashing a wave of global chaos eventually, unless you believe the CNN press conference with the Taliban, in which they say, no, 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 we're great, women's rights and all that. We're going to give them some Sharia law. Women love the Sharia law. If you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. Now, I'd love to blame this all on Biden and Trudeau, and they do deserve a lot of blame, and the moral failings of the left will be on display here, but there are much wider problems at play, specifically. This is a problem with reducing complex issues into sloganeering and then selling that to the public. Just end the endless wars. Well, can we break this one down a little bit further? Our mission in Afghanistan, the combat mission in Afghanistan and Canada, ended in 2011. We've been in a support role since then. Same really with Americans, right? It's been mostly a support role, right? The casualties is just like one soldier every few months. So, yes, I wish no one would die, but I think it's a trade-off, because you see what happens when you let the Taliban take over. Now, this was totally inevitable. I do not believe for a second that Joe Biden didn't understand what was going to happen if he did this, and if he didn't understand, well, then he needs to be impeached for incompetence, because then his brain is too adult to run anything. And the fact that he didn't answer questions after the press conference, just went back on vacation, oh yeah, Afghanistan fell, oopsie doodles, no questions, back to watching, MacGyver reruns. It's unacceptable. Justin Trudeau, Afghanistan fell. Oh, okay. Maybe we'll recognize the Taliban. And then today, oh no, we're not going to recognize the Taliban. They're a terrorist organization. Which actually shows me, okay, good on Canadians, because it's an election season, that even the left, when they see what the Taliban is, when faced with the evils of radical Islam, in front of them, they say, no, we don't like this. Now, there's another problem is, can we name the actual problem with the Taliban? Can we name it? What's the problem with the Taliban? It's called radical Islam. Okay? In order to use Islamophobic, Afghanistan is a country that's like 99% Muslim. And Muslims are literally clinging to planes, hoping to fly on the outside of a plane near certain death to get to a place that is not run by radical Islamists. And our failure to actually articulate what the enemy is the problem. We are at war globally with radical Islam. And there's nothing in it, and that's not George Bush's fault. That's because radical Islam is at war with the world by its own standards. Iran, a country run by radical Islamic terrorists, openly says its policy is to take over the world and destroy the West. Like it or not, these are your enemies, and you have to fight them. Sticking your head in the sand and retweeting Ilhan Omar, AOC, is not going to help. It's not going to make them love you. There is no appeasing evil in this world. You have to fight it. So I say it was inevitable it was going to fall because this is modern warfare, okay? Modern warfare is aerial warfare, which means keeping a NATO presence in Afghanistan would mean that the Taliban could never do this, because no matter how much better their military is, they don't have Black Hawk helicopters, they don't have planes. So the incompetent Afghan military, if it had NATO air support, could keep the Taliban back forever, which is the plan. Now, this is another problem with foreign aid. Now, there's a lot of problems with foreign aid. The main problem is it hurts the people you think it helps, and it's usually just a way to, throw some money into the pockets of donors to mega, corporations and political parties and all that. But in terms of military foreign aid, and, let's be blunt, because this is the problem. We need to be blunt. You cannot just throw money and aid without actual physical support to corrupt third world dictatorships. Afghanistan's one of them. This is like a lot of problems with sort of African militias too, and why a lot of people say, oh my god, America created the Taliban, America created this, or the CIA is arming this terrorist group. It's like, that's not how it works, okay? What America or Western countries do is, because we're lazy and because we can't tell the truth and tell hard truths to our population, and we can't acknowledge the fact that evil exists and some people and some ideologies are better than others, we think, okay, we'll support and throw aid and throw money. Well, in corrupt third world dictatorships, let's say whatever banana republic in Africa, all right? The person who wins is not usually better funded. It's the militia who is probably run by the most hardcore warlord. So you might have the president, who no one really is loyal to. He's giving you money, and you can hold your gun, and when you're, enforcing peace on a bunch of civilians, no one cares. But when you're met with a bunch of rabid militants who are hopped up on God knows what stimulant, and they come rushing through, you have no loyalty to the dictator, right? He's just paying you, so you usually drop your weapons and run away. That's how militias get American military equipment usually is because you fund the good guys or our allies. Their people on the ground are incompetent and they leave their weapons behind and run away. Or in the Afghan case, that happened too. That just happened now. Or the Afghan generals are so corrupt they can't, they want to make money, so they sell, American military equipment for scrap parts on the black market. Oh, the black market dealers in Afghanistan aren't the most moral people, and then sold that weapons to the Taliban. Oh, shocking. Right? And you can't just throw money and equipment at them. Like, okay, maybe we can train some help. Okay, you want Black Hawk. If the Afghan military could fly Black Hawk helicopters, they could keep the Taliban at bay. Because again, air support. There's no, Gatling guns and a helicopter are going to do a lot, and some whatever Tomahawk missiles. But do you have the pilots to fly those helicopters? That's the big problem. And the huge problem is, okay, maybe you can train some pilots, but then you need the engineers and the support staff. The entire infrastructure needed to fly a plane or a military plane or helicopter that is 21st century ready. It's just not there in Afghanistan. You just don't have it. You don't have the technicians, you don't have the pilots, you don't have the co-pilots, you don't have the navigators, you don't have the entire support staff needed to use high-grade military technology. So of course they were going to fall, and of course those Afghani soldiers weren't prepared to fight the Taliban, who believe that the most glorious death is won in battle. They're Vikings. They're going to win. So it's totally inevitable. This brings us to sort of the Trudeau-Biden modern sort of sloganeering. Okay, we just end the wars, peace, peace, peace. You cannot call yourself a moral progressive person and make deals with the devil. All right? We need to shut out Qatar, Pakistan, Iran, China, and Russia. Can't have dealings with them, if anything's shown us. You also can't abandon your allies. China has loved this. They started threatening Taiwan and Tibet, basically putting out, oh, this is what happens. Look, America will not back you. America might say they'll back you, but they will run away. And that's the message you've sent. And China's picked up on this. And then, they're not being coy about this. They'll be blunt. They'll say, you side with America? They don't have the stomach to stand by you indefinitely. We will take you over. They're just happy to say that out loud now. And this is another moral failing of, you know what? Justin Trudeau, this is a big Justin Trudeau failing. Pakistan. We cannot continue to do deals with Pakistan. Pakistan is not our ally. Pakistan is our enemy. The ISI has consistently enabled and supported the growth of the Afghani Taliban. Consistently. We know this. And good on Chris Alexander, the only politician in Canada who's calling it out. Chris Alexander is great. Too bad Chris Alexander might have been prime minister had he not been the worst public speaker I've ever seen. But other than public speaking, Chris Alexander is great. He is dead on. He is calling for the sanctioning of Pakistan. He's outlined how Pakistan's been related to this whole thing, the generals, what they've been saying. Great on Chris Alexander, and I will make a video in a few weeks when Aaron O'Toole kicks you out of the Conservative Party after he gets a phone call from you-know-who saying that this is very Islamophobic and blah, 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 blah. So, no, it's over there. I don't care. It's over there. It's not over here. Canada first. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, you don't care about the suffering of people. Fine. But don't forget, if you can look at what the Taliban's doing in Afghanistan and just, bleh, well, then you don't get to lecture anyone on morality. Just say, I only care about me. I have no moral compass for anyone else. Me, 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 me. Fine. All right. But do you really think this is going to be contained? Do you not think that the Afghans and the Talibans are just going to unleash a wave of global narco-terrorism with all the opium they have now? They do this. Iran's been in constant talks with the Taliban. Iran supports the Taliban. Hamas supports the Taliban. Qatar supports the Taliban. And Iran and their proxies have been already using narco-terrorism for years to grow their influence and build jihadist base throughout South America, leading into the United States and Canada. So do you not think that the Taliban getting a hold of a large supply of the world's opium is going to increase the flow of cheap opium into our countries? It's going to increase the drug trade. Do you not think those drug trades, and do you really trust the cartels and the mafia to fight radical Islam and say, oh, no, we're not taking this cheap heroin from the Taliban, we're going to do it for the greater good? The increase in narco-terrorism is going to come. It's least shocking story in the next year is the increase in narco-terrorism. And, oh, look, the drug trade's fueling the rise of radical Islamists throughout America and Canada. Oh, who could have seen this coming? Me, Daniel, saw it coming for years. Been yelling about this type of stuff. So this is going to affect you. You can pretend it's not. You can pretend that it's 500 years ago, and what happens in halfway across the world has no impact here. Fine, play pretend. Stick your head in the sand, then go vote for Justin Trudeau because you don't understand the world. Even better yet, vote for Jack Meat. We need to name what the problem is. The problem is evil, specifically ideologies like radical Islam, which is shared by the Taliban and the nation of Pakistan. Imran Khan, who just praised, the Taliban for liberating Afghanistan. These cannot be our allies. All ties with Pakistan must be cut. We need to. The most insane thing about the Justin Trudeau administration is our alienating of India and choosing Pakistan over India in this time. Pakistan provides almost no value compared to India. Like, why? Why are we going with Pakistan versus India? It makes no sense. I understand why, because Pakistan's willing to throw more money around foreign nations to get what they want than India is. India! Just spend some money worldwide. Stop being like Israel and just ignoring the rest of the world and thinking that, it doesn't really matter if a bunch of terrorists, infiltrate countries that aren't us to increase anti-Hindu and Indian sentiment. Won't affect us. Yes, it will. So, it's done. Like, we can't go back in now. It's run by the Taliban. But we're going to take 20,000 refugees who have already escaped Afghanistan? What? Facilitated by Qatar? The terrorist lover Qatar? If we take one refugee from Qatar, I'm going to be irate. We need to bomb Qatar. I'm serious. Bomb Qatar. Get it out of the way. There's no defenses. It's the terrorist Switzerland. Bomb it. Get it out. Supported every radical Islamist movement in across the world. It is our enemy. It's working against us. Bomb Qatar. Stop this. This video's gone on a while, but I think it's been good to rant. And I have been happy to see that Canadians, when faced with the reality of what the Taliban is, do not like Justin Trudeau's appeasement of it. And the biggest moral failing of all is Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau, who knew what was going to happen. Okay? I'm not the greatest military mind in the world. Maybe better than average. I've never served. But the generals knew what was going to happen. How the hell did we not get the translators, the contractors? I want everyone who helped the Canadian forces, every contractor, every translator, and their families brought to Canada. That's our end of the bargain. And to not do it makes us look horrible on the world stage. It means people won't be our allies. The next time we need allies, people are going to say, no, I'm not going to translate for NATO, work for NATO on false promises. They won't help me. They'll get my family killed. America, Canada, the West has no stick-to-itiveness. So we will reap what we sow. In the decades to come, this will hurt us. It will hurt the West. And we lost this war. And if we just maintained a presence and just gave the Afghans, we could have given a bunch of toddlers guns and given them air support, and you can hold off the Taliban with air support. But instead, slogans, end the wars, look, Biden the peace bringer. I hate it. So, support the show on blah, 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 blah. Click the like button and all that. And you know what? When it comes to evil, like radical Islam and the leftists who appeased it, and every leftist who was at the pro-Palestine rallies this summer where they're flying Taliban flags. Yes, Taliban flags, of course, fly beside the Hamas flags. You are appeasers of evil. You don't care about Muslims. You don't care about women. You don't care about human rights. You care about being popular. And you are an utter moral failure and a disgrace to this country. And I hope you feel bad about it. But instead, you'll probably think of some way to blame Trump and obscure your own responsibility in this issue. But the next time you're at whatever terrorist march and you see a Taliban flag or Hezbollah flag or Hamas flag or a Boko Haram flag or an Al-Shabaab flag flying, just know the company you're keeping. Because Hamas is meeting with the Taliban, they're friends. Iran's friends with the Taliban. China's friends with the Taliban. Qatar's friends with the Taliban. If you support those countries, you don't care about women. You don't care about Muslims. You don't care about human rights. You are friends of the Taliban.